Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Neil, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. Oh, also father of a stolen child, my bad. Welcome, one and all.
Hey, good morning, all.
Hey, good morning.
Morning, all.
Good morning, good morning. My apologies for there being no live show yesterday. I was having Windows fitted, so I did put out a little short, which I changed to members only after the fact, just explaining that there was a lot of banging going on, so it was just impractical to do a live show yesterday. So just to get that out of the way, in case anybody was wondering. Any evidence of a physical...
Go on. It was a pain that you didn't have a live show yesterday.
It was a pain. Indeed. It was triple pained. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Hello, guys.
Hey, Arvin. No evidence for that because there is no geometric horizon.
Anybody got anything from Discord? You're all off mute.
Well, there is ways that you could look at the Earth and then have considerations about any geometry. So,
considerations, you say?
Yes.
How about some solid proof?
Well, that's tough. You know, when you start measuring things or getting all consequential and all that, yeah, then there's curve function collapse. So but you can always consider it to be curved.
How come there's more proof for 3 layers of window treatment in Nathan's studio than there is for the Earth curve?
Very quiet here. Any more from Discord? Hold on just 1 second. G+. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
If there was, we would have motion and we would be able to establish Earth-based Coriolis. But since you can go up in a helicopter lifting off the surface of an Earth that's turning and the Earth doesn't turn under you, no. That's simple as that.
Right, any evidence of the distance to the Sun?
It's over there.
Any evidence of the distance to the Sun?
No evidence.
It only exists in the model.
The Sun doesn't only exist in the model, the distance does.
That's right, that's what I said. The distance to the Sun only exists in the model.
Any scientific evidence of... Indeed, Black Swan, whoever whispered that. Who was that? Second time you've done it. George.
It's the Swan Whisperer.
Hold on. Go ahead, George.
No, Black Swan. That's all. That's it. Number one proof.
Right on. Yeah, worthy interjection, I would say. Did I cover any scientific evidence of gravity?
There isn't any, but go ahead, ask the question.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
We don't know what it is. Next question.
There's
I
no
guess
matter.
Yeah, I was just saying, if you don't know, how can you find scientific evidence for something you can't define? So there you go.
If you're a globe believer,
They're
you'll come here and tell us
mathematical.
that it's been proven scientifically when you don't even know what the cause is.
Well, you showed a picture earlier of Earth and their vacuum of space next to Earth in their globe model, as they like to show a lot these days. And the only answer they got to violate the second law of thermodynamics is to say this thing gravity. And that can't even violate the second law of thermodynamics. So they got to have something for the masses to think, oh, okay, that's why the atmosphere doesn't, go off and fill the available vacuum. It's because of this magic word gravity. And then when you ask them to define what gravity is, they can't even define it. It's a force. It's not a force. It's nothing.
Well, in their
I think that
mathematical
this is another one of
descriptions, they put R in it.
I think this is another one of those things where they change the definition to fit the model. So if they were doing the Cavendish experiment, it's mass attracting mass. If it's bending light rays around a star, it's bendy space-time. If it's a force, then it has to be weight. So I think it just depends on what they want to do at the time they want to do it. And they just change the word, change the definition to fit their model again.
And if it's steam, then gas goes down, go boom boom like solid bonded bouncy balls.
Well, the main problem is we need a unified theory of gravity, right? And not this scattered elements associated with gravity that actually don't work together, right? So, yeah, there's no other choice. Gravity needs to first be discovered.
Yeah, we need a bloody phenomena first. Yeah, that's right. Needs to be discovered. Yeah, we would need to see an effect first. That's right, Arwin. Meanwhile, we've got a lot of descriptions of what gravity is. We've got a 106-year out-of-date description of mass attracting mass, and we've got a current pseudo-Riemannian force space assertion that the uneven distribution of mass causes that space-time to bend. Now, those are a lot of descriptions for something that hasn't actually got a phenomena. So it's kind of farcical, really.
Well, even within those descriptions, they have an R value that they've never measured.
That's true. Can't have gravity without R.
No center of mass.
Yeah, M1. Where are you going to get that?
Yeah, gravity
Can't
without
have
R
anything
would
without R.
just be... Gravity without R would just be gavity.
Good one, Arwen.
Just
That
repeat.
was
Hold on,
excellent, Arwen.
Chocolate. Welcome, by the way. Just repeat what you said, though, Neil. It was much more important.
Can't have anything without R.
Well, you can't have any globe claim. Yes, indeed. Hey, Chocolate.
Oh.
Morning, guys. What's going on?
Just debating the nature of reality. Usual stuff. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Have they moved past looking at stuff?
No, observe and declare
They
only.
name it.
Go on, John.
I was going to say they name it too.
Or astronaming. Astronomy.
Yeah, they look at stuff and they name stuff, and then they send emails, and that's science.
Well, also correlating your iTunes library, you could call that science.
I remember they were selling for a small fee, and you get a certificate. You can name a star after yourself.
Heard you could also buy property on the moon, too.
You can also buy horizons. Smash the super chat if you'd like to buy a horizon. No geometric horizons.
Yeah, not those. Those are all fresh out.
Yeah, we can give you any of the other imaginary horizons. We just imagine them. But the geometric horizon only exists in Earth curve geometry. It doesn't exist in reality, so I can't sell you one, unfortunately. I can sell you an imaginary one. Just not a geometric one. That would be physical. That would be a physical Earth curve sphere edge that would block things in the distance. Black swan. So no geometric horizons for sale. Smash the super chat if you want an apparent apparent location where the sky meets the ground or sea. Those are abundant.
But don't ask the Globers because they'll try to sell you non-visible visible demarcation.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to be careful of the counterfeit non-visible visible horizons that are out there. We don't sell those. We make it plain. Our apparent positions where the sky meets the ground or sea are only apparent positions, meaning you can see them apparently. Now you can see them in name only in the geometric maths when you talk about actual Earth curve blocking things. As farcical as we'd like to be about apparent positions.
In name only, like nominal?
Yeah, that's right. Nominal horizons. The one you bought, what's the status of your horizon? It's nominal.
Speaking of horizons, got minute 40 seconds until blue origin goes
Yay!
to suborbital.
Bezos launch.
Yeah, I got a picture of Master B with 2 minutes countdown.
I got a link in the description. I mean, in the YouTube chat to a live.
I'm
video stream.
watching it on my phone. It must be real.
Oh, I have seen
it
this.
is real.
This is
The
flashed
launch
up
is
on my.
real.
This is flashed up on my. I don't want any news feeds at all on my iPad, please. Here they are anyway, Nathan. We're going to poison you and brainwash you whether you like it or not kind of news that I don't really want to read. But I saw this blatantly penis-shaped
Come on.
rocket.
Well, if we're going to get it, you're going to get it. Why should we suffer and you not?
Sorry, nobody else cottoned on to the fact that this is just a giant penis.
It's a big deal, though. Yes.
Yeah, I commented that in the chat.
So we're shooting up giant dicks now into a fake place. Is that what we're doing? We're sending dicks to the sky vacuum. They're laughing at you, Globers. They are literally laughing at you.
Bezos is fucking
Well, there was
space.
an astronaut whose name was Richard.
I'm glad that joke got talked through, subtle enough to get through and me not need to edit it if this gets clipped out. Whoever said that, kudos. And whoever talked through him, kudos also for the first time ever.
2, 1,
Well, anyway,
ignition.
the guys who created McDonald's, they named the Big Mac after the other brother because they couldn't name it after the brother Richard because it would have been called the Big Dick.
Oh my god.
Yeah, my
Neil.
sons get a kick out of that.
Neil, that's a whopper of a story.
I don't really want to talk about this, but have it your way.
Very good, very good.
I'm loving it.
Shout out to that flat fellow who sends me a set of sunglasses. No request for a horizon, so I'm not going to give you one. Thank you for the super chat, though. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core? Actually, as we're on space, any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container?
No, it requires gas pressure in order to have thrust within the gas pressure, and that all requires a container.
Yeah, but we
What about
have
two
more, we
containers?
have more hints of the word magical has been used again by my favorite guy, Neil Smoking the Grass Tyson, who described this magical border that apparently they consider space, but he kind of laughed off. It was like, oh, we're all excited they went to space. No, they didn't. We're all excited about something we did 60 years ago. No. So even the Globe side is kind of like shitting on this whole Richard Branson nonsense. It's hilarious.
It's interesting that we call it nonsense because a couple of times I've corrected people, Chocolate. I'm not having a go at you, by the way. In the respect that he's not actually lying about anything. Now, there's been a couple of times where people have hinted that he's saying they're going to space, but then every time I look into it, I seem to see contrary documentation to that effect, which is to say that no, he isn't really peddling it that way. It's always some third party that's extrapolated out what he's actually punting and what people actually get. And in terms of, we discussed, I don't know if it's in the live show or the pre-show, we discussed the right stuff, and they're doing the same stuff, right? They're going up to greater altitudes prior to the development of NASA. And then that project, those projects with normal aeroplanes exploring the sky, essentially, was cut off in favour of NASA. So what they're saying is the pre-NASA stuff that was deemed not good enough prior to NASA wanting to explore the fake sky vacuum, is now going to be sold to the public. You're like, right, so the point where they left off with the guys in that movie, the right stuff, going, we really would like to go up higher. That's how high you get to go as the public. And as far as I can tell, I don't think he's deceiving anybody. The fact that it's a bit of a disappointment that he's not just outright lying like NASA do and saying, yeah, of course we're going to go to space. Of course you'll see the curve of the Earth. Of course Earth's a sphere. Because he's not overtly doing that, I've kind of got to give it to Branson. And I've always thought this, less so of Elon Musk, I must admit, but certainly Branson, you think at some point he's just figured out the lie, hasn't he? And gone, I can make money from this. This is great. You know, and I'll get tons of support from it without having to spend a penny.
Exactly.
So genius. I mean, my hat is off to you, Branson. And the way that you've managed to weasel this without actually being that deceptive in consideration of your punting stuff in a world of deception. I mean, that's a fairly hard thing to pull off. And I've got to be honest, I've got a bit of admiration for him for doing it. Just going to go through Retro Bill. I didn't immediately shout out your super chat because I want to dissect it a little bit. So he says, thank you for the super chat, by the way, first and foremost. Pilots correcting for Coriolis is like trying to straighten your body because you look wavy to others in a funhouse mirror. Excellent super chat. Thank you very much indeed, Retro Bill. Indeed. So Coriolis effect is something that you observe because you're turning beneath stuff. So it's back to the tree branch over a kid's roundabout. The effect of the tree coming towards you to get you because it's an angry, scary tree that chases people. That's Coriolis effect. Oh no, the tree is coming towards me. It is coming to me. Now that is not actually what is occurring, the tree's stationary, but because you're rotating towards it, it looks like the tree comes towards you. That's Coriolis effect. Looking like the tree's coming towards you is the effect that you describe with Coriolis. The only way to induce that effect is to be rotating beneath something. It is the only way to see that effect. Earth's claim to have that effect that can only be induced by us rotating beneath things. And we don't. Now, in response, the anti-flat earthers tell us things like the plane corrects for Coriolis, when in reality it's an effect only observable from the ground of something not actually happening. So it's like saying the tree will correct for Coriolis. It'll move out of the way as you rotate towards it and just track along with the roundabout. The roots and everything in the ground don't matter. It just tracks with the roundabout. It'll account for Coriolis. It won't be observable to come towards you. It'll just stay the same distance from you at all times as you spin towards it on a roundabout. Makes absolutely no sense. But that's the defense from a globe believer turned anti-flat earther.
You got it. You got to admit, it's a nice rebuttal against somebody who doesn't understand what the Coriolis actually is. Like, you could see them passing that off, like how they used to try to pass that off to us. It's like, it's kind of funny. But as soon as you actually know what the Coriolis is, that's garbage.
And you've got to put people off with great disdain when you first go after them, or when people were first going after flat earthers who spotted that to have the effect you've got to have Earth turning beneath stuff, that would cause very wonky things to happen with flights. The best form of defence is to go on full-blown attack and go after the man's job because he doesn't understand how we shouldn't have 15 degrees an hour of Coriolis effect. Don't you understand conservation of momentum? Something that pisses in the face of 15 degrees an hour drift, that's Coriolis effect, only induced as you turn beneath things and see them drift. Well, I'm going to have your job because you don't understand that we don't have drift on Earth, said the anti-flat earther, who needs this shutting down. Doesn't need people recognising the fact that Coriolis is you turning beneath stuff. Needs you to understand that Earth and atmosphere are just assumed to turn together in violation of the first law of thermodynamics. Don't you understand that? I'll have your job. Yeah, need to keep people away from the subject, keep it shrouded in mystery, diluted in confusion, and appearing to be threatening to your livelihood if you ever go after the conversation in this regard. So that's what happened. Now I'll just keep saying it. The claim from Earth is that we turn beneath stuff. It's complete bollocks.
For the last few years, I've been actually telling Globers, they are pilots, that if Coriolis is real, then you should be able to fly north at a certain speed and never change your heading at all and end up where you started. If the Coriolis effect is true.
Yeah, Earth's supposed to be turning
I'm waiting
beneath.
for someone to do that.
Yeah, Earth's supposed to be to have Coriolis. We would be on the ground looking up at that flight and go, wow, it looks like it's taking a curved path. Wonder why that happens. Well, it's because we're turning beneath it. Yeah, all right, I see. That's fair enough. Sometimes planes do look like they're taking a curved path, says a few globe-believing fundies in the audience, until you then make the same demonstration with a drone. So you take a drone, you put it on a roundabout, and you launch it. Now, if you're standing behind it when it comes off the roundabout, there's a good chance it'll smack you in the face, as it looks like it's curving towards you, and all you've done is push the up stick. But from your vantage point, you then rotate towards it as it hovers in the air. Well, if Earth has the same effect, you're turning beneath that drone as it launches off the ground. So you push the up stick and all the drone does is go up. But then it rotates, you rotate beneath it at claimed to be 15 degrees an hour. That means that suddenly it starts coming towards you at the rate that Earth is supposed to turn underneath it. And that doesn't happen at all. We never see the effect of Earth turning beneath stuff. Now, again, it's simultaneously claimed to happen with things like footballs and snipers' bullets. So you shoot a sniper's gun, and you need to track the target, obviously, because Earth's going to turn underneath that bullet when it leaves the gun. So, right, Earth's turning beneath things that aren't attached anymore, like bullets. Oh, right, well, then you'd launch a drone, and Earth would turn beneath it. And if you were on the equator with Earth turning beneath it at 1,000 miles an hour, you'd notice. We don't, because it doesn't happen. We'll roll on the reply from an anti-flat Earth fit. So no Coriolis effect, conservation of momentum, don't you understand? You should be fired. What? No, Coriolis is us turning beneath stuff. What do you mean you're going to go after my job because I don't understand conservation of momentum when the claim is we turn beneath stuff? Oh yeah, because we don't turn beneath stuff. You need to go after this with serious vigour, don't you?
I'm very
How are they
confused.
gonna measure-
Why did they go after Brian Mullen, but not? Why didn't they go after thoughtco.com? Clearly says the object is not actually moving off its course. It's only appearing to do so because the Earth is turning beneath it. Globers, that's your own side. But why don't you go after these guys?
Chocolates. The new thing is, according to some people on Gem Panda, they didn't go after his job. They just called asking
Whatever.
questions.
Whatever.
And it
George
doesn't
came here
matter.
and
Hold on, but
George
they
came here
also
and assumed it himself. He said it himself.
Let me finish. He did him a favor because now he's got a better job. So they actually did him a service.
They're actually clowns. Again, why
That's
haven't
what they
you
were
gone out after all the guys on your own side? Right? This is a citation I've been provided for by Globers that tell me it only appears to be doing so because the Earth is turning beneath it. So how are you saying clowns telling us that the Earth and the object are moving together? You got
That's why they got in touch with his license supplier. This is somebody who is a surveyor, or is a surveyor, and apparently, according to the anti-flat earthers out there, because he didn't understand that Earth and atmosphere, that's sphere-shaped air oxymoron, and unbonded, even though it's atmosphere assumption of a sphere-shaped air, nonsense. Even so, because he didn't understand that is travelling velcroed with the Earth, giving us no demonstrable effect of Coriolis, he should have his license supplier contacted. And apparently that's good news. It's like, let's move away from the contacting of his employer, disgusting though that is, and move back onto the justification for contacting his license supplier. Well, the justification is that he doesn't understand conservation of momentum. Well, if things are conserving momentum, there's no Coriolis effect. Earth's not turning beneath things. They're moving as one, according to you, when you assume Earth spinning with atmosphere oxymoron, velcroed to Earth, even though unbonded gas isn't tracking with anything, it's unbonded. But according to you, in the face of all of the surface winds that we have in multiple directions, Earth and atmosphere move as one. And because he doesn't understand that, that's the justification. No, that's incorrect. The globe is claimed to turn beneath stuff. That's the only way you have Coriolis effect. And when things are not drifting and not demonstrating Coriolis effect, that just means we are not spinning. Not that you need to contact people's license supplier, not that they need to understand how we don't have Coriolis drift because it's conserving momentum, giving us no discernible evidence whatsoever that we're spinning. Because there's no effect to observe suddenly, just a fundamentalist zealot's assumption that the two travel together and give us no Coriolis effect. So that's definitely not worthy of contacting anybody about anything, and it's worthy of us pointing out that the people who punt the globe from the anti-flat earth side are either just liars and out there to ruin people's lives because they don't conform with their lies when we point out how the globe rhetoric doesn't work. So you need to conform to my lie about conservation of angular momentum, ignoring the drift that we're now not seeing. And if you don't, I'll contact your job. That's what I'll do. Let's make sure everybody knows about it too.
How are they measuring?
Go on, John.
I was going to say, how are they measuring this radial movement, axial rotation, or conservation of momentum?
They're not.
What value?
They're not. They just state it in the face of us showing where things do not drift. So we point out that Earth's not turning beneath a helicopter, a drone, a hot air balloon, a flight, or anything else for that matter. And then they tell us that they are going to assume an axial rotation rate with no effect to be demonstrable. But they don't show us because there isn't anything to show. They're saying, you won't see anything because I assume Earth's turning, and I assume the air around it, which is unbonded and cannot be tracking with it, is tracking with it. I'm not going to give you any evidence of that. I'm just going to describe how the conservation of momentum works, when in fact I should have Earth turning beneath stuff to cause an effect called Coriolis effect, which we don't have. They don't have any proof to show you. Their claim wouldn't demonstrate anything to prove it.
Well, I was just pointing out that without a radial value, you don't have any way to measure it, even to claim it.
Yeah, without a radial value, you don't have a claim of 15 degrees an hour drift, because that's based on R. You can't claim you've got Coriolis effect Earth turning beneath, because that's based on R also. And when you defy it and say Earth and atmosphere travel as one, then you're still assuming your R value, which is debunked. So everything from every angle in terms of Coriolis relies on an R value. Spot on.
Yeah, what surprised me though is that they're taking credit for him having a better job. Rats.
Well, let's not concern ourselves with that person that they attempted to ruin his life just before he got married and started a family. Let's not concern ourselves too much with that and focus more on the argument they felt necessitated that contact in the first place. Their argument was that you don't understand how Earth and atmosphere travel as one conservation of momentum. Well, if their argument stands, there is no Coriolis effect, which is actually what's claimed by their priests, that Earth turns beneath to see drift. So they are incorrect in their assertions. Now I expect them to say, you don't understand, Nathan, as they do. You don't understand Coriolis, even though I can summarise it in about 3 sentences. The not actual drift observed from a non-inertial spinning reference frame as you turn beneath an inertial reference frame. That's Coriolis effect. I do understand it, but they want to segue away from it because they don't have it. We're not turning beneath things on Earth, seeing them seem to drift. We'd notice, we don't, so get his job.
Ogres.
We've covered this a fair bit recently. It's only because the more concise you get with, or more concise I get with the Coriolis argument, the more I want to point out the absurdity of their behaviour in years gone by. It's like, yeah, you try that shit now, when we can easily cite your own references that you give us, showing very clearly the claim of Earth-based Coriolis is like any other claim of Coriolis, and that would be Earth turning beneath things not attached, and we'd notice that. Us pointing out that we don't notice it because it doesn't happen doesn't mean our careers need to be put at risk. That's not what needs to happen. Just needs a tacit acceptance from any of you fundamentalist religious zealots with the globe belief that we're not spinning. And even if your claim in defense of that is that we're conserving momentum as we spin, that wouldn't give us any effect to observe. So it's just a made-up story with a begging the question fallacy attached.
I wonder if they're still passing this citation around, or are they trying to hide it, or maybe take it away or something? We might have, at some point, we might have to look for it in the Wayback Machine, because no, we can't have a citation saying that the Earth spins underneath, coming from their own side. That's bad business, right?
Well, they've got the most convoluted wiki page on Coriolis effect you could possibly imagine. The only accurate bit is the bit on the right-hand side where it has a GIF showing 2 reference frames and what you'd have view from each. So a view of the ball seeming to curve as you are on the on the non-inertial spinning reference frame, watching the ball, which actually travels straight, take a curved path because you're turning beneath. And then another view of the same exact scenario, but with you in the inertial reference frame, watching the roundabout turn and the ball travels straight. Because that's a really simple description of Coriolis, and it's got about 2.5 sentences below it. And on the left-hand side, in the main body of the Coriolis text, it's got all sorts of contradictory nonsense about hurricanes and earth-causing stuff with Coriolis non-forces, just contradictory nonsense.
Yeah, because there's like a magical part, right? It's got to be like the initial part where they tell you what it actually is. That's the actual illusion, right? Seen by somebody on a spinning reference frame. And then there's the magical part where it's like, and this magical illusion that we just told you about also causes actual spin of wind, wind rotation. Yeah. Don't worry about the whole magical part. We just skip over. It's ridiculous.
You know what's interesting is what's on screen now, that Bezos landing. How much did the Earth spin while he was up in the air? And where should this landing be if the Earth was rotating?
Someone will calculate it. I'm sure Adam's all over this already in terms of how much Earth would turn beneath this claimed capsule from space, I assume. Yeah, right. Well, nevertheless, it's claimed. Go on.
I'm sorry. Beginning of this broadcast, they said suborbital flight. They never said space. So it's
fine.
Suborbital.
However much Earth should have turned beneath this bell end, I'm sure someone will calculate that.
Well, especially on its way down with the parachute, and it has a lot of time to drift, right? But yeah, the whole thing went into an arc kind of way anyway. Went up, then in an arc went down again. So, oh, by the way, there was no Coriolis drift. There isn't any.
Yeah, but look at all those people, Arvin. They knew where to show up for the press. I mean, look, they got everything. Boom mic.
Roughly, yeah.
They got smoking the grass on the phone. He made a quick calculation and told them where to expect everybody to land. Nice and safely.
It's a magical drift.
Did you see the booster also landing, by the way? That was kind of interesting.
You mean the
it didn't even crash.
You mean the shaft?
Shots? You mean the 3 cutaway shots of the booster landing?
Well, there might have been something suspect about it, especially on first glance, but I don't know.
I've been watching that booster since its inception, and they never show a direct video feed of it landing. It's always cutaways, and then the last picture of it, it's
like
a
poof,
model.
There it is.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last picture of it is like a model where they can't put the fire out at the bottom, like a rocket's going to have that flame there. Give me a break.
Right. Well, it was not perfect, indeed.
It was not perfect.
I love the way you just said
my
that.
My favorite one was the ISS one, because the rocket that supposedly came back from there, and they just cut away, like, oh, it's landing. It's like, oh, satellite problem. And then as soon as the satellite problem goes away, oh, look, there's the rocket sitting there, nice and ready for everybody to look at. Oh, beautiful. What a freaking clown show.
I mean, rewind it if you watch this on YouTube. They show it coming down, and then they cut away. Then they show another whole image of it, and then they cut away. And then they show another whole image, and they cut away. It's like, you're being set up, man. This thing is Hollywood. It's not even Hollywood at its best. It's just dumb.
Right. Well, something that really stood out to me, and I watched the whole thing live as the Flat Earth debates was going. I noticed that like the cameras on board that did the actual mid-flight views, like that resolution was garbage. Like, where did they get these cameras? Like from the early 90s or something? Like, why wasn't there any higher resolution footage?
Oh, that's called crapo vision. See Dilly Gill's videos for an explanation of the low-range potato cam vision that we get deemed crapo vision by Dilly Gill.
Yeah, it's like an old Nokia 3.2 megapixel camera. And there was only
It
one
just looked
angle of it
blurry
looking
and,
down
like
at the Earth, and from the Earth looking back up. There was no other views they showed.
Man, those Nokias are
Nathan,
very
I'm-
robust.
Nathan, I'm going to post 2 pictures and then I'll come back.
Okay. Good stuff. I take it we're going to forego the rest of the housekeeping questions. Molten iron core is not the best of segue at this point, I wouldn't have said. Unless anybody has actually discovered molten iron core evidence.
No.
And this stuff's punted as science, so any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
See, that word viable kills it. I can make hypotheses all day, but you want a viable one with things in the sky? I can't. I'm fresh out. That's like the geometric horizon. I'm fresh out.
There's a funny thing that happens when you punt something. They can get blocked.
Woo.
Did Quantum Eraser do an interview? I noticed his premiere for tonight is an interview.
It might be that one where that guy was supposedly interviewing him, but he turned into a debate because
Oh,
that guy was.
Not
Yeah, you
that
know what I'm talking
one.
about, Chonky?
Yeah, that was. Oh man, if
I'm
that's
ready
the
for you,
same
Nathan.
guy, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I think
You
I
got
caught
those
the end of
pictures,
that. That was relatively recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a few weeks ago.
Nathan, I got those 3 pictures.
Yeah, how are you gonna pretend that you are unbiased and then end up debating the person you're supposed to interview? Like, come on now.
Indeed.
That was pretty bad, yeah. He was even being told in the middle of it, like, hey, you don't know what you're saying. You're literally Googling in the middle of this. You might want to just take it back to the interview forum that you had going on. This debate thing's not working out too well. But that bias came out, and that Agent Smith had to come out.
Well, that one come out on Nathan in his interview with that one guy, you know? They come I can't remember that guy's name.
Nathan, you got those 3 pictures?
I can have, yeah. But just for John's benefit, yes, I do remember that as well. It went from interview to debate very quickly. Because people want to just, you know, set you straight or laugh at you when you say something silly, and when you actually prove them wrong with a bit of logic, they want to start launching into proving you wrong rather than interviewing you. Anyway, right, got the first image up. NDT Live.
What's the height, the altitude on that one?
247002.
Yeah, 247,000 feet on its descent. The rocket part. Go to the next picture. 181,000 feet on its descent. You notice the space next to the curve on both those pictures? And then, oh my gosh, 33,000 feet, the commercial airline height. And what do you see?
All looks the same.
Yeah, meanwhile, we don't have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. It's been debunked by the Black Swan. So whether or not this bends is kind of irrelevant, really.
No, the whole point is you've been up on a plane at 40,000 feet or 39 or close to it. Here's 33,000 987 feet, and look what they see.
Yeah, they see the horizon, and sometimes the horizon can appear distorted in various different ways depending on which lens you view it from. But ultimately speaking, it's a not actual position. It's not a sphere edge, regardless of what it looks like it's doing. You're going to see the horizon if you go up high. Wowee.
What fakery? They can't even fake good.
What their fakery revolved around, excuse the pun, an assumption or an acceptance from the viewer of Earth as a sphere in the first instance, and the horizon being the edge of that sphere that you can't see past. Now, once that goes, none of the magic tricks work anymore. You know, I don't know if it was Righteous Force the other day when I laid this out for him, he was like, oh, I've never really thought about it like that before. So when they go up high and they start talking about Earth curve, it's the same horizon that we debunked on the ground. Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah, their horizon up high when they say it's bent. Look, we can see Earth as a sphere from our horizon up high. It's like, that's the same horizon we've debunked. So who cares? It's just a horizon.
Yes, it was Righteous.
Is that the visible one or the non-visible visible?
We only have one horizon. And the horizon in the Begging the Question Proof of Nothing Perspective Hijacking Earth Curve Calculator is physical and geometric. It's based on 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That would be the geometric limitation sphere edge horizon they claim blocks boats and buildings into the distance when you look at photographs. The horizon, that's what they claim is Earth curve. It isn't. We debunked it. So it doesn't matter how many times they show you the horizon from now on. The horizon isn't Earth curve.
You can't see the geometric horizon. You can still calculate it.
Yep, the geometric horizon only exists in the maths. End quote. The rumpus. That's correct. Earth curve, that would be the geometric horizon, only exists in the maths. It does not exist in physical reality. I'll say that slightly differently. Earth curve does not exist in physical reality.
The horizon is not Earth's curve.
Funny, we got somebody in chat actually thanking Bob for 15-degree rotation per hour. That's funny.
I'm looking at these three pictures a bit more closer. This is supposed to be a camera outside, not from the inside. And the black area that I'm thinking was outer space could be something on the outside rather than outer space. So this might need to look a little bit more closely.
Maybe. Feel free, knock yourself out. Meanwhile, is or isn't a horizon, isn't or isn't a black area that's a sky vacuum. It's like, someone showed that it was a couple of barn doors on the view of the camera. So what? So it's just a view of the land below then?
No, no, Nathan, no. You cannot rest until you figure out exactly how they tricked you.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock myself out, but I like to be honest about things I talk about, unlike the anti-flat earthers.
Let's go back to that then, as it was me who first coined that phrase. Did anybody else see Eric DeBay's video? I'm yet to see it myself. Quite looking forward to it, actually.
What video?
I'm informed, get me talking about this like I know, that Eric DeBay made a video detailing precisely what we've been discussing for about the last 10 days, 2 weeks, which is the contrast between a globe believer, somebody who thinks Earth turns beneath, things not attached to show drift. For example, a football going through the goal seems to curve from the stands because it's claimed Earth turned beneath it. Well, that's a globe believer versus an anti-flat earther who'll go after your job because when you point out that doesn't happen with a hot air balloon, they expect you to understand how we don't have an effect that would be noticeable.
He claims any questions are defense mechanisms.
Yeah, it was Neil who posted the video of Eric DeBay.
Anti-flat earthers. Let's Is it in Master B, Neil? Clearly not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
he put it
believe
there.
so.
He put it there yesterday.
Oh, okay.
The
I'm
day
not going
you
to be able
were-
to find that in a pinch.
Can I also give it another name? Why don't we call it numpty earthers?
Because anti-flat Earth is very specific. You know, they're not bracing against other numpties. They're bracing against us. Now, in the case of Coriolis effect, i.e. we point out we're supposed to turn underneath things if we're on a spinning Earth, and we don't see the effect that would create. Yeah? The kind of person that braces against that and says, no, you should understand the conservation of angular momentum and understand how there's nothing to see here. We don't have any effect observable. It's all turning as one in violation of the first law. You should understand that or I'll have your job. That's an anti-flat earther. He's going against the first instance claim of the globe, which is that we turn beneath stuff to have Coriolis. So he's going to say, no, we don't turn beneath. It all travels as one. No effect to see. No drift. No 15 degrees Coriolis. Do you understand? Because if not, I'll have your job. That's an anti-flat earther. They just hate us pointing out how the globe fails in its claims. So they brace against our rebuttals, and in so doing, brace against the globe claim.
I agree. Technically, you're correct. But they just so happen to always be numpties as well. Right?
Sure. Anyway, so Eric DeBay's video is about specifically that, which I'm quite pleased about, mainly because it got a positive reaction from people and has literally helped me, even though I coined it, to distinguish between what's happening. Because sometimes it's hard to keep track. It's like, what are you claiming? Are you claiming a globe claim that I can pull apart based on the fact that it doesn't happen? You know, you're saying Earth will turn beneath a football. Look, Neil deGrasse Tyson said it went through the goal because Earth turned beneath it. In which case I can say, what about the blimp above the game filming it? Earth would be turning beneath that too. And it isn't. Yeah? Or am I dealing with an anti-flat earther? No, the blimp tracks with the Earth. It's got engines. It accounts for Coriolis, something only observable from the ground. In other words, they violate the description of their claim in the globe myth, and they tell you that you should understand something that's nonsensical when referencing their globe claim. So they're bracing against their globe claim because you've debunked it as a flat earther. Anti-flat earther is a good description, if I do say so myself. Yeah, shout out to you, Eric. Look forward to watching your video.
I'm still trying to figure out if he was taking a shot at you. I don't think he was, because he was just saying that flat earth debate shows it's undebatable. So I don't think he was taking a shot at you, but you listen for yourself.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, he's right, though. I'd agree with him. It's not debatable.
Same.
You know, when someone puts that to me, which they have, I say the following. The fact that the Western world still believes they're on a sphere means there is, by definition, a debate on the subject. As far as the subject matter is concerned, there is no debate. We have one, and you will find that out if you come here. But the fact that you still want to come here and tell me, no, it's a sphere, means by definition, there's let's say it slightly differently, a show for me to run. There's still globe believers out there. That's the fact, isn't it? We're still absolutely in the minority. So there's still a debate. But the debate itself has been won and decided. Earth is obviously, observably, and measurably, and navigatably flat.
They don't even realize they have a debate between themselves. The anti-flat earthers and the globers. Like, we got a clown in the chat thanking Bob for 15 degree per hour drift. I don't know, because some of your other compadres steady telling us how we don't have drift, guy. So,
Yeah. So somebody needs to get hold of that guy's details and explain to him that thanking Bob for proving that Earth is claimed to turn beneath the gyroscope at 15 degrees an hour. What is your malfunction, globe believer? I think your employer needs contacting, because clearly you don't understand that, no, the gyroscope's going to conserve momentum and not show any drift. And if you don't understand how it will be conserving momentum, then your job will be at risk. You understand? Don't claim Earth turns beneath stuff like gyroscopes. It conserves the momentum of the turning Earth. Don't you get it? Have his details. Let's have his job.
You gotta be careful about those anti-flags.
One more time. Is it Eric?
I think they're members of that radical group called Antifa.
One more time.
It's a joke. I'm just trying to say that anti-flat earthers are Antifa, like Antifa. Antifa.
Antifa.
Gotcha. Got it third time. Glad I got you to repeat it.
Anti-fla.
In the meantime, Chocolate's got it right. The anti-flat earthers and the ballers, they're going at each other, and pun intended, we'll see who antis up first.
Yeah, but you're right, Chocolate. I often do that in the chats. Somebody will be arguing with me about how Earth claims to have 15 degrees an hour drift as things appear to drift away because you're turning beneath them. That's the claim of a globe. And we don't experience that. Nothing's drifting away 1,000 miles an hour on the equator. We would notice. And then someone comes in and says, don't you understand the conservation of momentum? Not realising that only moments earlier, there was another dick in the chat thanking Bob for proving Earth turns beneath according to them. So it's like, which one is it, fundies? Let's set you on each other. Which one's right? Earth not turning beneath stuff, conservation of momentum, or Earth turning beneath stuff, proving we have drift underneath aeroplanes and hot air balloons and drift that we don't experience? Which one is it? I don't need to argue about it. It's not my claim. Getting involved just has idiots like Simon Dan telling me my reference frames are ruined when I don't claim any. But there's two groups, two factions, globe-believing and anti-flat Earth, that seem to claim completely contrasting things. One conserving momentum, no drift to observe. One with Earth turning beneath. It's a big problem. For you, globe believers, not me.
So when they're stuck in traffic, are they moving?
It's non sequitur.
It's the funniest thing because they claim motion. They say it's the Earth moving, not the sun. And then when you say, can we see this motion? They go, well, you can never experience this motion. They claim a radius. You say, can we see the geometric horizon based on your radius? Well, we can never see it, but we still have a radius and a physical geometric horizon. How come everything they got can't be seen or proven or taken through anything? It's all belief. It's all, well, you just have to accept it. This is the way it is.
So, to summarise, if Earth was spinning, it would have Coriolis deflection, as claimed by the globe. Coriolis deflection is only observable as you turn beneath things not attached. We do not experience things drifting because we're not attached on an Earth that spins. There is no Coriolis effect. Earth is not spinning.
Yeah, and if we're attached, as they say, how did you ever come up with the definition of true Coriolis if it could never be observed?
On Earth. On an Earth that spins. You can observe Coriolis effect easily on a roundabout. You just have to look at something coming towards you when it isn't really coming towards you. You're moving towards it, like the tree branch. Coriolis is easy to demonstrate. Tree branch over a roundabout. Looks like the tree's coming towards you. Oh no, the tree's coming to get me. Coriolis force is bringing it closer and closer. In reality, tree in the ground, not moving, you moving towards it. That's how you induce Coriolis, you moving towards it on a rotating platform. So us moving towards things not attached on an Earth that spins would be the effect if we had it. So we'd be moving towards the hot air balloon as Earth turned beneath it, meaning that hot air balloons could go up and land in a completely different country merely by going up in the air because Earth would be rotating beneath them. They don't experience this effect because Earth is not rotating beneath anything.
So then, with that said, why are they insisting that sniper manuals and other booklets tell you to account for this if it's conservation of momentum, which is really ridiculous, but going with them, then no one needs to account for anything. Just aim and fire like we do.
Yeah, again, George Netting needs to get in touch with the army and say, excuse me, your handbooks claim Earth turns beneath gunfire. Don't you understand the conservation of momentum? You all need your jobs taking away.
Yeah, George, get on it.
Yeah, what about that, George? They need to understand conservation of momentum, how the bullet will track with the atmosphere that moves along with the Earth that's claimed to be turning beneath it in their manuals. You're going to get on that, right? You're going to go after the army? Let's see how you get on with that, you pathetic little twat. Hey, Adam.
Afternoon, guys. So I've been listening in the car, but yeah, I did calculate the Bezos stuff. It says it's up there for about 8 minutes compared to Branson's flights. So that would equate to about 2 degrees of rotation. So dependent, let's assume it's equatorial, it's about 130 odd mile drift on that one. Obviously Branson's is a lot more because he's up there 90 minutes from start to finish. Both have 3 or 4 minutes weightlessness, so I'm not sure whether that's the period. If you excuse all the bullshittery, excuse that and say, okay, it's that period, then it'd be about half that for Bezos.
I have a question about that.
Before you do, hold on, just before you do. So, did it deflect? I'm being informed from the chat. Sleeping Warrior says no.
No, I think this one's a lot easier to demonstrate that there is no deflection. You can mitigate with the Branson one because I think one of the calculations, they were 40 miles out. It would be based on that bit, but you've got an airplane to come back down with, haven't you? So you could correct for any rotation there, but not with a parachute. The rotation would continue for the duration of that. So that would still be, you won't be able to correct in mid parachute descent.
And did Earth turn beneath the parachute at 15 degrees an hour?
There appears to be no evidence of such happening, no.
Right, so here is an example of us pointing out that Earth is claimed to have Coriolis effect. That would be you observing this come down from the sky, but seem to curve away from you as you turn beneath it. That's Coriolis effect. Now that did not happen. So, roll on the anti-flat earthers. No, the parachute and the atmosphere and the Earth were all moving at the same rate. Therefore, no Coriolis effect. It's conserving momentum. Oh, really? So no 15 degrees an hour. What are you thanking Bob for again? The claim that Earth turned beneath the gyro? Like Coriolis effect, that would be Earth turning beneath stuff, us observing things drift because we're turning beneath them. That doesn't happen, anti-flat earthers, right? Yeah, roll on those anti-flat earth remarks that it's conserving momentum and not showing Coriolis. So not proving we spin. This should be the prime example to prove we spin. We should see it deflect at 15 degrees an hour, right? Oh, no, my job's at risk because I don't understand how conservation of momentum works. How conservation of momentum flies in the face of a claim that we spin beneath things. Yeah. Roll on.
Hey, Adam, I've got a picture in Master B. I've got the time from takeoff to touchdown, 10 minutes, 19 seconds, by the way.
Well, I was just going to ask if in his calculation, what radial value he used, if he used one at all.
No, I that's why I prefaced with degrees of rotation. But I mean, that's still, it's only later that I have to use, or when I try to give you a distance in terms of drift, then yes. Unfortunately, once I know the rotation in degrees per hour, to actually apply that to reality, it does require an R value, John. Yeah.
All right, quick shout out to Retro Bill, who says, great show. Well, thank you very much indeed, Retro Bill. Really appreciate the support. Thank you very much. I think I did miss someone's super chat from earlier. If you are that person, I'm really sorry for missing your super chat. But with that, I am going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smash the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
fucking name!